this is Carrie Canary Quilts, and it's that time of month where we're working on the piece and quilt that Fat Quarter Shop is doing. They're doing a quilt along. I joined into this last year, and you need a book called Celebrate with Quilts by Lissa Alexander and Susan Aki, and the quilt on the front is the one that we're actually putting together. They also sold a box of paper piece. They're half square triangle rolls, and there's flying geese tablets, square and a square tablets, so that you could put together these blocks with some paper piecing. So that's what I'm doing with this, is I'm going through the paper piecing part of these blocks, showing you which pieces I pulled out and how to use these It's So Emma paper pieces, because I love paper piecing. I think this is a beautiful quilt, and it's just a fun journey to go on. So we are in July, and we have 2 blocks to put together. And I say that these are the 2 blocks, but we have 2 different sizes of this block, and this is actually 4 of the same block, and it's going to go into the quilt like this. I haven't put it together yet. They're going to go in different rows to make a block that looks like that. So it's really cool looking. So that's what I'm going to do today. I want to let you know too, you can do this quilt along without the paper pieces. You do not need to paper piece any of this. I like paper piecing, and Fat Quarter Shop sold all the pieces you'll need to put this together, and that's how I'm doing it. And I know a lot of people are interested in these, so that's why I'm doing these video series, is to show you which ones I'm pulling out to use and how to use them. So just to go through, these are all the piece and quilts I have so far. This is actually the first row right here. I have not put it together, but those are the blocks that go in the first row. And then over here are 2 more blocks that we've done that are going to go in different rows. And there were actually 9 of these. I think there were 8 or 9 of these that we did, and 2 of them are in this row right now. So we've done quite a bit so far, and you don't have to, just because we've done this doesn't mean that you can't pick it up right now. That's what I'm trying to say. You can certainly start this quilt along. I have the series on my channel, and you can go back to the first video and start following along there and catch up. Anyway, I think it's fun. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell if you're new here. Let me know what you think, and let's get started on our piece and quilt blocks. We are getting started on the first block. We have 2 blocks for July for the piece and quilt sampler. This is a quilt along that Fat Quarter Shop is doing. Our first block is the 9-inch evening hourglass block that is on page 33, and you make 4 of these. We're going to put 4 of these where the center, this medium pink center, matches, and then we end up with this white around it. If you have the book, you can turn the page and see what that block's eventually going to look like. This is a 6-color block if you want to do it that way. That's what they're showing here. When you go to the pattern, it is not 6 colors. So you'll have to do a little cheat sheet on which pieces are the colors that you need. So I'm going with teals, green, and orange for my colors. And my orange, it's going to be opposite. I'm going to have teal down here and orange coming this way through the block. So let me go over to the evening hourglass block and show you the paper pieces we will need for this block. The evening hourglass block is on page 33 of the book that we're working out of. And we need the 9-inch version of this. And if you're familiar with this book, you get 4 different versions, a 3, 6, 9, and 12. So we need 4 9-inch blocks. Now you can see it looks different than what we're doing for piece and quilt, where A, E, and C are all going to be this white. And then B and F are all going to be the same color. And then in here is going to be 4 different colors, these 4 squares here. So I had to go through and figure out what I needed. I figured out for A that A is going to be these 3 whites. So I have my white cut. It's going to be these 2. It shows white here, but it's going to be 2 different color greens, a dark and a medium for me. So that's my A's. My E is going to be white, which I have right here. And I've made my little cheat sheet down here. My E is going to be white, and then the other E is going to be this other medium green I have. And then we have this center 4 patch right here. So this C right here is going to be white. So I have those cut. These F's are going to be orange. Remember, they're going to match our half square triangle, the B. So our F's in my position, in my block, is going to be orange. And then the other C in this 4 patch is going to be the light green for me. So now I have all that cut. We need to cut for our half square triangles. There's 2 per block, and we need 4 blocks, so we need 8 half square triangles. And in my case, that is going to be white and orange. So we will need, for this particular block, the 3-inch finished half square triangle. It's So Emma's. If you bought the paper piece kit that Fat Quarter Shop is using for this quilt along, you do not need to do it this way. But that's what I'm showing you in these videos, is how to use these and which ones I'm using in each of these blocks. So the 3-inch finished half square triangle, It's So Emma. All right, let me put my pieces aside that we're gonna have to piece and get set up to show you how I do this. So this is my 3-inch finished half square triangles. I need 8, and there's 4 per row. So I want 2 rows. So I'm going to cut right along the line here. So now I have 2 rows, which will yield 8 half square triangles. I'm going to need a white and an orange cut from this. So I'm going to go to my white. I'm going to find a spot on my white that will fit this. And, ooh, that's just a little too close. That's not going to work. So I think I'll have to go up here in this corner. And what I do is just cut around the edges. I don't cut on the lines, I just cut around the edges. It does tell you how wide to cut this. I use my pieces to do that. And then I'm going to use this white piece to cut my orange. And I'm going to cut as big as my white piece. Here's the 2 pieces I've cut. You can see that my paper fits within those pieces. What I want to do is put these right sides together. And my white one's smaller than my orange, so I'm going to use that to make sure that my paper fits. And I'm going to pin it down. I'm going to pin it in the corners since we're sewing mostly in the middle. There we go. We are ready to sew. So what we're going to do is go over to the machine. I have my stitch length set at 1.6 because my default is 2.2. So I have a shortened stitch length, and I'm going to stitch along the dash line in the direction of the arrows. So all these dash lines will have stitches. So I'm going to get that done, and then we'll come back and get it cut apart. Here's my paper piece. I've got all my stitches in on the dash line. Now we want to cut our pieces out, and we are going to cut on the solid lines. I'm going to cut on the outside first. And I'm just going to keep turning it and line it up with that solid line. I usually cut my longest lines first. I think that way we have less to cut, but I could be wrong. Just maybe feels that way. All right, so you can pick one of these lines in the middle. And there's our longest lines. I'm going to grab a shorter ruler, and now we want to start cutting these lines. Cut it up, these two apart, and then on the diagonal. And there's our half square triangle. Beautiful. All right, I'm going to get these trimmed. I am going to get my 4-patch put together, and then we can lay all the pieces out, because other than this, the 4-patch needs to put together. That's very easy. So we'll be ready. I've got my half square triangles finished. I've ironed towards the dark side, and I put my 4-patch together. I've got all my other pieces ready to go. So now we can lay this block out. Since it looks different than the pattern, we need 4 of these, so we're going to have 4 of these in the corner with, in my case, the dark, the orange pointing towards the center, and the other is going to go down here. I know, and I could have cut it differently, but I cut it per the pattern. We've got 4 up here, and then 1, 2, 4 in this corner, and 4 in this area. So this section will be white. I've got my 4-patch with a white corner, which is going to go right here, and then my light green's there. My dark is going to go here, and then my 2 mediums are down here. So that's what my block is going to look like. And it's just a 9-patch, so I'm going to put together the 9-patch per the pattern. And we'll come back and we'll lay this block out to see how it's going to look in the end. There we go. There's all 4 of my blocks laid out, how it will appear in the quilt. So you don't put this together yet because these are going to be in separate rows. So I'm just going to leave them like this until we get to putting those rows together. All right, that was fun. And I like the colors I chose. They're really pretty. Let me know how it went for you. All right, for the piece and quilt block, the second block for July, we are going to be doing a 6-inch and 9-inch Dandy Star block. And if you have the book and you go to page 27, you'll see that the instructions are for a 2-color block, but we've got a 3-color block here. So I had to go through the pieces and figure out which colors were which when I went back to this block. So let's go to that page. All right, there is the instructions for the Dandy Star block. We're doing a 6 and we're doing a 9-inch. So I had to go through and make some notes on the letters here, which colors they needed to be. The corners will be half square triangles, and for the 6-inch it's going to be the 2-inch half square triangle, and we're going to need 4 of them. And then for the 9-inch we need the 3-inch finished half square triangle papers. These are the It's So Emma papers that I'm showing you how to do in this series of this quilt. It was a kit that Fat Quarter Shop sold. You do not have to use these. So I haven't cut my fabric for that yet. I'm going to do that for you, show you how I do that. But I have cut the other pieces. We've got this section here, B and E, and then our center D. So that's what I've got cut here, and I'm ready to go with these. That's for my 9-inch. This is for my 6-inch. I'm not going to show you how to do that. I'm just here to show you the paper piecing. Okay, so to get started on this block, I'm going to get my half square triangles done, and then we can put the block together. All right, to do the half square triangles for this block, I'm using the It's So Emma papers, which were an add-on for this book. So you could do the piece and quilt. That's how Fat Quarter Shop's doing their quilt along. So I know a lot of people aren't familiar with it. That's why I wanted to do it here. Anyway, for this particular block, for the 6-inch block, we need 2-inch finished half square triangles. And I only need 4, so one strip of this is going to be 4 half square triangles. So I'm going to cut right along that line. There we go. That's for my 6-inch. And for my 9-inch, I need 3-inch finished half square triangles. And this one also does 4 on a strip. There we go. I can set these aside. I do not need them again. I want to take my green. I'm going to need green and orange in mine. I need the other one too. I need the shorter one, which can come out right here. There we go. There's the green for both of those. Now I can pull in my orange and do the same thing, but what I'm going to do is just use my fabric to cut. There we go. There we go. So those are my pieces. I'm ready to go for each one of these. They're both bigger than my papers. Look what I did. I just went ahead and pinned it. I got to put these right sides together. It does not matter which color you choose to put your papers on the back side. Like this one, I'm just putting on the green. This one's on the orange. It really doesn't matter. So now we're all set up. We can go over to our machine with a shortened stitch. My default stitch is 2.2. I go to 1.6 for paper piecing. And we're going to sew in the direction of the arrows on the dashed line. So I'm going to sew here and then down here and then back this way and then down here. Okay, I'm going to get that done and then we can come back and get them cut apart. All right, just wanted to show my stitches here along the dashed lines. What we want to do now is trim on the solid lines. Let's do my sides first. So that's what I'm going to do here is trim on my solid lines. And this long side. I'm going to trim down the middle. And then trim down the diagonal on that solid line. And there we go. There's our half square triangles. Beautiful. All right, so I'm going to finish this one up. I'm going to get these all ironed up and then we can put our block together. There are the pieces all put together. This is how they're laid out. It looks really cool like that. I like it. So I'm just going to put my 9 patch together and these 2 blocks will be done for the quilt. There we go. There are the 6-inch and 9-inch dandy star blocks that we are doing for July for the piece and quilt. And I used the half square triangle papers. I like my color selection. It's really pretty. That is July's piece and quilt blocks. I am just showing the paper piecing. There were quite a few people who weren't familiar with these or how to use them or which ones to use maybe for each block. So I thought each month I would go through that, show the paper piecing and which pieces I used from the It's So Emma. And that is because Fat Quarter Shop's doing this quilt along and they are using their package they sold with these in it. These It's So Emma paper piece. Half square triangles, flying geese, squares in a square. So you do not have to use these to do this quilt. You can get the book and just do the quilt. There are several quilts in the book. Celebrate with Quilts by Lissa Alexander and Susan Aki. There's also cross stitch in here. I don't remember how many quilts. There's 5, 10, 14 different quilts in here. Let's see. No, there is not cross stitch in here. Some of hers has cross stitch in them, but this one does not. I'm sorry. But I'll have a link to this book down below if you're new here. You can grab the book, have a bunch of quilts that you can put together, follow along with this one, and hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and we'll have a lot of fun here on this channel. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.